You're in the way. Can you please leave the house until I get back? Understood. I'll head back to my parents' home then. So I started making arrangements to move out of the house. Hey, what's going on here? My sister-in-law, Karen, appeared, obviously flustered. Didn't know, huh, Karen? But it's too late now. My name is Jennifer, a 34-year-old office worker. I've been married to my husband, Mark, for 2 years. We've been living a fulfilling life. But Mark is about to go on a 2-year solo assignment to Anchorage. I agonized over whether to accompany him, but I didn't want to quit my job. So I decided to stay behind. If Mark isn't around, paying rent feels wasteful. So I moved into my in-laws' house temporarily to live with my parents-in-law. There's another reason I decided to live with my in-laws. My father-in-law, Daniel, has become in need of care. Right now, Daniel lives with my mother-in-law, Nancy, so she has to handle both the caregiving and household chores by herself. This would drastically increase Nancy's burden, so I thought it would be good if I could move into the in-laws' house and help out with the household chores. Both my parents-in-law were grateful, and it worked out well for Mark and me since we wouldn't have to pay rent. So here I am, living in my in-laws' house. My parents-in-law are genuinely kind people, so my life with them has been pretty comfortable. After work, Nancy usually has dinner mostly prepared. I initially offered to take care of dinner, but when her caregiving duties are light, Nancy often helps out. We finish up together and dinner is ready in no time. I really appreciate coming home to a nearly ready meal. Plus, it's lovely to cook with Nancy in the kitchen, and even when I'm tired from work, cooking is therapeutic. I initially felt lonely about living apart from Mark for 2 years, but thanks to my in-laws, I've been able to ease that loneliness quite a bit. Jennifer, your cooking is really delicious.
I know, right? Mark is so lucky to eat like this every day.
Come on, Nancy's cooking is amazing too. Mind sharing your recipe next time? Sure, I'd love to. My relationship with my parent-in-laws was pretty great. I kept in touch with Mark regularly, doing video calls and such. Life at work was smooth sailing, and most days were peaceful and calm. But it wasn't all rosy. My issue was Karen. I'm home! Hey Karen, welcome back. Were you planning on coming over today? Thomas said it's happy hour, so here I am. You could have given us a heads up. Well, you don't have to be formal with me, so it's cool if I just show up. It's not like I just came home to visit. Hi, Karen. Wait, why are you here? Karen made a face when she saw me. Jennifer is living with us now. Living here? We explained this to you, remember? Because Mark is on a work assignment, Jennifer is staying with us temporarily. Is that so? Oh, we could have a nice family dinner. Karen's offhand comment had a barb in it. It felt like she didn't consider me part of the family.
Hey Karen, Jennifer is part of our family too. What's the problem?
Daniel also seemed concerned and called her out on it. Karen just rolled her eyes and mumbled, whatever. I sighed. For some reason, Karen has disliked me from the get-go. Her cold attitude puzzled me. Despite being married for years, Karen still treated me this way, so I usually kept my distance. Living with my in-laws meant seeing Karen more often, whether I liked it or not. Karen, on the other hand, can't stand me. She avoids making eye contact or starting a conversation with me during meals. And yet, she has no problem barking orders at me. Hey, Jennifer. Don't you notice we're out of drinks? Go get some more. You're really not thoughtful, are you? Karen keeps dishing out insults, and it's annoying.
Hey, Karen, don't talk like that.
Yes, exactly. Jennifer works hard and isn't your maid. Stop ordering her around like that. Thankfully, my parents-in-law intervenes when Karen treats me poorly, which has been a big help. But that only seems to fuel Karen's resentment towards me. My parents are just peace-loving, not necessarily fond of you. Don't get ahead of yourself. Whenever we are alone, Karen would attack me like this. Why did she dislike me so much? Some time passed and Karen announced she was pregnant. Mom, Dad, listen, I'm pregnant. Karen joyfully shared the news with my in-laws.
Really?
That's wonderful, Karen. My in-laws were ecstatic that Karen was going to have a baby. Karen had been married for about 3 years and seemed anxious due to her age, so she looked incredibly happy about the pregnancy. Although I don't get along with Karen, I think it's fortunate that she's just clueless. Congrats, Karen. When I said that, Karen had a smug look on her face and said, "Thank you." She seemed like she had more to say, but I chose to ignore it for now. Then, when we were alone for a moment, Karen turned to me with a sly grin and said, "When are you ever going to have a baby, I wonder?" Normally, if you don't have an heir, you're considered useless, you know. Well, you are useless in many ways. Anyway. Karen was clearly trying to belittle me and assert her dominance. Was her smug face earlier because she wanted to say this? First of all, Karen is older than me, so she has no room to talk. Besides, it's petty of her to look down on me just because she had a kid. She probably wants to prove that she's better than me in some way. I've started to understand why Karen dislikes me from the way she's been treating me recently. Not to brag, but I work for a major corporation and make a good salary. I also graduated from a prestigious university. On the other hand, Karen went to a junior college and became a housewife after initially being a contract employee. She seems annoyed that I'm a career woman. So she often says, having a high education and a good job doesn't necessarily mean you're happy while looking at me. I usually let it slide, but it's tiring to be constantly faced with her rivalry. But she's celebrating the birth of her child now, so I decided to let it go this time. "Jennifer, you look tired. Are you okay?" "Huh? If something's bothering you, feel free to talk about it. About work or anything else, really. Including stuff about Karen. What? Every time Karen comes here, she says something nasty to you, right? I can watch her when Daniel and I are around, but I've been worried about you when you two are alone." Nancy. I was touched that Nancy had been watching out for me. So I opened up a little bit about being tired of Karen's attitude. "I'm really sorry about that." Nancy apologized on Karen's behalf, but it's not Nancy who's in the wrong. Karen's the one with the problem, constantly competing and picking fights with me. You have nothing to apologize for, Nancy. Even just talking about it like this makes me feel a little bit better. Really, I'm sorry I couldn't be more helpful. I felt a bit guilty for making Nancy feel down. Basically, or rather, 100% of the problem is with Karen, but I realized that I needed to address this issue somehow. Then something happened that made me lose my temper. One evening, after dinner, my phone rang. I was about to answer, but I froze when I saw the screen. Karen's name was displayed surprisingly. "Oh, it's Karen. What could she possibly want?" Who knows? I'm sure it's something unpleasant, but since Nancy saw the screen, I can't avoid answering it. "Hello?" "Hello, Jennifer. Could you move out for a while?" "What?" I accidentally raised my voice. Nancy, who's next to me, looks at me with concern. I might as well let her hear what Karen is saying. I switched the phone to speaker mode. Karen's voice is now clearly audible to Nancy as well. "What do you mean, move out?" "I'm planning to go back to our hometown to give birth." I glance at Nancy. Nancy shakes her head, indicating she wasn't aware of this. "Have you discussed this with Nancy and the others?" "I'm going to." I'm sure they'll agree, so I'm not worried. I'm flabbergasted at Karen's selfish reasoning. In any case, you being here will be in my way. "Excuse me? You're just in the way." "Why do you dislike me so much? What's prompting you to constantly criticize me?" "You're so annoying, always acting like some career woman. Plus, it's irritating that you're friendly with my parents. Mom and Dad are just falling for your act. They're clueless, you know." "Wait, why are you talking like this? Nancy and the others have been so kind to me, and I'm truly grateful." "Huh. I bet you're after Dad's inheritance. All the inheritance will be mine. I have no intention of sharing it with you or Mark." I'm shocked by Karen's words. Nancy, who's been listening, is also speechless. "Karen, that's too much. I thought you cared more about that family, about Daniel and the others." "Huh? Our parents are just cash cows to me. I'll outlive them, so it's only natural." "Karen, that's just cruel. Shut up, I don't want to hear it from you. I know how conniving you can be. Being around someone as toxic as you will ruin my unborn child's character. That's why I don't want to be around you. Please leave the house until I return. How selfish can one person be? Then Nancy opens her phone's note app and types, "Just say you'll leave, don't worry, I have a plan," and shows it to me. So urged by Nancy, I say, "All right, I'll go back to my parents' house." "Please do. Let me know as soon as you leave, but try to leave as soon as you can. Leave within a week to 10 days. Karen hangs up after saying that.
I'm so sorry about Karen, Jennifer. I can't believe she's been harboring such awful thoughts. I've made up my mind. I'm going to cut ties with Karen. Because Karen clearly doesn't care about me or Daniel. Even if she's a parent, if she treats us that badly, any love will vanish. I think Daniel will feel the same way." Daniel was dumbfounded when he got home from happy hour and heard what had happened from Nancy. Nancy then shared her plan with him. The plan was to sell their in-laws' house and empty it. "You know, I've always thought this house is too big for just the two of us, and the multiple levels will make it hard as we get older. So I'm thinking of selling it, buying a more accessible condo with the money." Daniel agreed it was a good idea. I also decided to help out with Nancy's plan. "I'll start looking for properties." "Thank you, Jennifer."
Then I began making arrangements and preparations for moving. I contacted Mark to explain the situation. Mark was taken aback but ultimately agreed. We quickly finished moving. Everything went surprisingly smoothly. And perfect timing, a suitable property became available. The real estate agent said it was a new listing that just met our criteria, and we signed the contract immediately. We moved all our belongings to the new place and put the old house up for sale, all without telling Karen. All of our stuff has been moved. It's finally done, huh? I'll head back to my parents' house right away. Karen sounded delighted. I struggled to contain my laughter, not knowing what would come next from Karen. The next day, it seemed Karen had arrived at her parents' house. She immediately called me. "What the heck is going on?" Karen was obviously panicking. "You really had no clue, huh?" "What?" "It's too late now. Daniel and the others have moved." "What? I didn't know about this." "Why?" "People usually tell their family when they are moving." It seems Nancy was quite shocked. Shocked to realize you only saw her as a cash cow? "What? You told her?" "No, I didn't. When you called, Nancy was sitting next to me." "We were both curious about why you were calling, so we listened on speaker." "Is this some kind of joke?" "Both Nancy and Daniel said they're done with you." "What? What should I do now?" "I already told Thomas I'm going home to give birth." "Not my problem. All this is your fault for treating your parents so poorly." "Wait, I didn't really think that way." "Oh, come on. You're revealing your true colors when you think Nancy isn't listening, aren't you? Either way, they don't want to talk to you anymore, so they're not telling you where they moved. I don't want to talk to or see someone as mean as you." "What? I'm sorry. Please forgive me." "I won't, so you don't have to apologize." "Then I'm hanging up," I said, and hung up before Karen could say anything else. Then I blocked her number. My parents-in-law had already blocked her, so our phones were now peacefully quiet. They looked a bit sad, but they were content with their decision to cut off Karen. By the way, my parents-in-law had reported this to Thomas, but it seems Karen had also been disrespectful and financially irresponsible towards Thomas, so even he had enough of her. So it turns out she plans to divorce after giving birth. A few months later, Karen indeed ends up getting served divorce papers. Thomas, who's financially stable, ends up taking custody of the child. Karen can't reach us, we've blocked her calls, and she doesn't even know where we live. She's probably blaming everyone else and feeling sorry for herself right about now. I couldn't care less what Karen is up to or whether she changes her ways. While waiting for Mark's work assignment to finish, I've been spending peaceful days with my parents-in-law. Mark visits us regularly and brings gifts from Anchorage. Whenever he can take some time off, I go to Anchorage and we spend quality time together. The days are flying by, and I know it won't be long before Mark and I can live together again. Until then, I look forward to more happy days with my in-laws.